Hello, 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 everybody. How are you doing? This is G. I'm hoping everybody is doing well and staying sane. I was just answering some comments under a recent video. I'm recording this in February, and this is a video for April 1st, the week of April 1st. This video will be about April 1st to April 7th, April 9th. All right. Gives you 7 days. Powerful energy. A lot of Aries stuff kicks off in April, right at the beginning of the month. And if you watch the previous week's video, there's a lot happening because there was an eclipse, right? We had an eclipse, but that wasn't all. Like at the end of that week, we come to like March 26th, 27th, 20, like that weekend, and then the Monday. And so here it is. This is the chart for that Monday. This video, April 1st, is kind of really strong with Aries energy, right? It's Aries season. And so it's kind of sets the tone because Aries is my body, my freedoms, my rights, my independent actions. And that is all going to be connected to what you believe in. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, fire energy. The next is going to be Leo. So it's courageous, but it can be the performer. It can feel like it's the authority figure on something, or I am the authority on this thing. I just am, right? I'm the king of the jungle. And then you go to the next fire sign, Saggy. So it's all about opinion. It's the judicial system, right? It's it's not necessarily someone who's just reporting the information. It is someone who is showing you the information, possibly packaging it together, and then saying, well, maybe not saying, but maybe they are, but it's kind of packaging something to sell you something. And maybe it's just to sell an idea or a belief, right? Because that Gemini energy can be very salesmanish, but then it's swinging over to that Jupiter Saggy side to possibly sway a belief of yours even, or judge you for the belief that you have or don't have, right? It's religion. Think about it, Sagittarius. It's religion. And so much of what is going around the world, oh my God, it's religious division and persecution. But it goes back to Aries again, because that's what this video is about. It's the beginning of April. We're in Aries season, and it's it's very fiery, and it can be passionate. It's very much about, I just have to say this. I just have to do this. Aries energy. And I'm going to start this. I might even instigate Aries energy. So this week can feel very hot because we are going to begin where we left off. The Black Moon Lilith conjunction with the South Node in Libra, right? The eclipse, the South Node in Libra. So I mentioned that in that video. I talked about so much in that video. What did I not mention? The elephant in the room. When we go to April 1st, this video will be about April 1st to April 7th, April 9th. All right. Gives you 7 days forward, 7-day insight. What we see is, we mentioned Mercury in that last video. We mentioned Mercury getting to the later degrees of Aries energy, 26, 27 degrees. And so at the 26, 27 degrees, that Mercury would have been trining. I drew it in on that chart, but I didn't have time to talk about it. I felt like I was just talking way too much. And so I ended the video because it was just getting crazy. I felt like anyway. But yeah, the galactic center sits around 27 degrees. You see? So in your birth chart, it might be at 26, it just depends on your birth chart. But this is like considered a really powerful point. Okay. When we think about the galactic center and we think about judgments, because the judicial system, the Supreme Court, right, especially in the United States, in their government, and how our system is set up, and how there is no scale, there is no checks and balances for the Supreme Court, which is really insane, and all that needs to change. So we are realizing as a society, hopefully as a majority, that there's a lot of outdated stuff. Hello, Taffy Apple. How are you? She's here to tell me it's dinner. So Mercury at 27 at the end of the month was trining the galactic center. So rulings and judgments. And I did end the video talking about Jupiter. And that is just what that is. But what happens also? What was the what I say the elephant in the room that I didn't mention is the beginning of this month, the beginning of April. Mercury then begins its retrograde. Right. So Mercury beginning its retrograde, it gets to 27 degrees. Yeah, that arrow is meant for Black Moon Lilith, even though it looks like it's for Mercury. Mercury gets to the 27-degree mark and begins its retrograde. And this is all happening at the same time that Black Moon Lilith gets to 14 degrees in Libra and also begins a retrograde. Now, Black Moon Lilith, to be sure, is always doing a retrograde. She moves fast. She's a moon thing. So it's like the moon's nodes, how they go forward, then they go backwards. If you watch the moon's nodes and how they travel, they do a dance. Sometimes they just dance between 5 degrees. Sometimes it's 10 degrees, for the moon's nodes. Lilith tends to do a dance where she can go from one sign to the next. Her span is a little bit wider. So here she is, the first of the month, and we kick it off. Mercury and Lilith going retrograde at the same time. It's in Libra, so we are, the checks and balances, the judicial system. We think of courtrooms and lawyers. I got something in my eye all of a sudden. We think of equality and fairness. We also have to think of women's rights because Venus rules Libra energy. This is business partnerships. This is lawyers. This is marriage and relationship energy, right? Relationships, partnerships, personal and private. Okay. So the South Node is a release of some sort, right? So the eclipse was one thing, but then here you go, Black Moon Lilith conjunct the South Node. So we definitely will see more clearly what the release is. To find out in your chart more specifically, because Venus rules Libra, go find Venus in your chart, see what sign she's in and what house number she is in. If you don't know what that means, like if that doesn't give you the details you're looking for, you can comment to me below and tell me. I found my Venus. And it's because Venus is in such and such sign, and tell me what you need to know. Remind me, because I do these videos in advance. Sometimes I totally forget what I asked you to find out. So if you could just give me a little refresher and explain it to me. I'm sorry, from the 4th to the 2nd, I have a lot written down. It's Venus again, because not only Venus who rules this Libra energy, but where is Venus in the current chart, right? Well, here she is. She is conjunct, right? She is conjunct Neptune at this time. Venus is conjunct Neptune, but that's not all. From April 2nd to April 4th, we have the sun conjunct the North Node, where we're headed. This is supposed to be the North Node, but it's drawn as the South Node. So that's a mistake. I don't know where the hell the Mercury is today, guys, but that's a mistake. The North Node should be drawn like this. And that's why the N is there. The North Node is in Aries. And let's go take a look at it. Since my drawings are a little wackadoodle, there it is. I've got it drawn in on 4th, right? The sun will match in 3. Yep, the sun will get up to 15 degrees and it'll be conjunct the North Node. The sun is an authority figure, someone who is of authority. Remember, it's in fire. Remember what we talked about in the fire right at the beginning with justices and the Supreme Court and rulings. Okay. Aries is my bodies, my freedoms of my body, my rights. This can also have to do with identity, how I identify gender affirming care, that stuff, that's big stuff. Yeah. It's big stuff. Everyone has a right to live. A lot of people think it's a fad. I'm just gonna come right out and say something. I read a comment on YouTube from somebody. They were being very kind and understanding. They were not trying to be mean or malicious toward anybody, because there was a recent death of a youngster who was in high school who identified themselves as they and them, because for them they were non-binary. They didn't identify with either gender. And somebody said to them, not to them because they were already dead. Rest in peace. Yeah, what, 16, 15, 16 years. I think Nex, NEX. They made a comment about Nex. They were saying something like, I think it's a fad. I'm not against those individuals who feel that way, but I think they just have to experience life and that it's a fad and that it's something they'll grow out of. And sure, absolutely. At that young age, it's confusing. It absolutely is. No doubt. But I also want to say, I have read enough astrology charts and I also know myself well enough by now to when we truly, truly, truly can can equally feel where we can say I identify this way or I identify this way, or guess what? I can't say that I identify with either one of them. I'm really feeling like I am smack down the middle and I'm not this or that. I'm both, right? Or I'm not going to claim one or the other. So I just wanted to be clear on that. Like when you read charts, you can see there's people you're talking to where they might not be aware of it themselves, or they're afraid because people are being ridiculed, people are being beat up, people are being murdered, right? And I'm not saying that this person was killed for that reason because I don't know the details, right? But it just brought up this thing in me where I'm like, I've got to speak about it when we talk about Aries energy and we talk about rulings and we talk about identity and we talk about my right to exist, like my very right to exist because of how I identify or because of the color of my skin or my gender. Please, people, life is life. More information on the 4th. Venus hits that 29 degrees. If I didn't say that, Venus hits 29 degrees. So she's hitting 29 degrees in Pisces. She wants to sleep, right? When she was conjunct Neptune, that was on the 4th, right? So she goes up in degrees. She's all about sleeps and dreams. She wants to surrender. She wants to escape. So we're being cautious with our money and how we're spending money, especially if you're doing anything online or someone who's a slick talker. That's just being smart anytime Venus is talking to Neptune. There can be this higher energy where you're using it for music and creating movies, right? That's all different. As long as it's a creative energy, then it's and prayer and meditation, then it's all good. And sound, right? That's different. But when it comes to finances, be smart. Have someone else handle this finances during these times, or don't be messing around with finances when Venus is conjunct Neptune or when Venus is at a critical 29 degrees in Pisces. That is on the 4th of April. On the same day, because that's at her critical degree, so it's like April 3rd, April 4th. So on that same day, Venus then also burns her way out of watery Neptune into fiery Aries. You see, April 4th. So there she is, April 4th. It's me, me, me. I'm feminine energy, but I'm a mixture of masculine energy because I'm in Mars and this is Venus. Here is my value. Here is my body, my right, my freedoms. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to fight for what I value. You follow? Aries is all about fighting, even though Venus is more about peace. But Venus is definitely fired up here. She got her rest and her relaxation. She was all under the surrender in Pisces. Now Venus is more about let's start something. What are we starting? What are we fighting for? Fighting for self, right? We go to 4th, April 5th to the 8th, I should say, April 5th to the 8th. The sun is conjunct Chiron. It's in Aries, the wounds of our body, the wounds of my body. Remember, my body, my right, my choice, my body identity, however I identify, however, with whomever, whenever, the rights to my body and my choice, authority figure, the sun is here. There is a conjunction here, possibly a wound with an authority figure, maybe, possibly a ruling about the rights of the bodies, possibly something to do with war and wounds from battle and in war, possibly. We know Jupiter is all over the chart. Jupiter is all Pisces energy in the chart. So we'll draw in Jupiter in black again, like I've been doing. That Jupiter just disappeared or went to gray. Yep, let me get my Jupiter in here. We go black with Jupiter up there. You see, I got black already drawn in, or Jupiter already drawn in. My words are insane today, guys. Jupiter for Sagittarius is there. And we've got Jupiter down here. Let's go big on this one a little bit. Let me see if you can get that in there. We have Jupiter getting to 18 degrees in Taurus. Why does that matter? Because Uranus is at 20, 21 degrees. And we got Black Moon Lilith at 19, 20 degrees in Taurus. So we're getting where the earthy signs, the money, the value, the incomes, the ruling, the judgment, something new, something different, foreigners, foreign aid package possibly, doing something with money, the justice system, the judicial system. How about like the left and the right and Congress getting together, learning how to negotiate, learning how to be a politician. I hate to say it, but that's what it is. That's what we pay them to do. That's what we pay them to do. They need to start working for their money. And so this is that. Okay. And there's a coming together here big time because they're all conjunct. They're all conjunct and they're getting closer and closer as the day goes, as the week goes. And that takes you all the way to the 8th. And again, that's at the same time that you've got the sun conjunct Chiron. So there might be something for there's a lot of energy here again with Aries because it's Aries season full on now because Venus is now in Aries and it says Venus is money. Venus says, let's start something, right? Venus is all about let's support. And Aries, I'm not a fan of war, but I am a true believer that for the United States, what makes us the United States is the word democracy. And it is a living, breathing experiment that started just a couple of 100 years ago. We are a young Aryan country. We are very young. We are immature. We're not as bright as we think we are. We have a lot to learn. And it's, if you want to learn, I don't know, if you want to see some outside objective information, maybe pay attention to what some of the foreigners are saying. And I'm not saying go full throttle. I'm not saying like the foreign leaders. I'm saying just people that you might connect with, whether it's online. There are so many folks in countries who are so concerned about what's going on here in the United States. Because if democracy fails here, holy shit. So we need to understand, at least maybe I'll just say, I believe that, yes, this is my Saggy energy coming out. I'm telling you what I believe, but I do believe that our democracy has to be worth fighting for. If we want to have rights, independent rights for ourselves, then democracy and the way that is set up has to progress. And it's not perfect. It's got a lot of flaws, but we got to keep working at it and plucking away at it. Still with me, thank you for your time. And remember, Mercury retrograde. There's a separate video for that. If you haven't seen it already, I'm going to link it below, but go there to find out the degrees of where she goes. And it's some of the same themes, but it'll give you more details for your own chart to figure out what are you rethinking, what are you redoing, what is being reviewed, what are you going over in your life, okay? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.